Good morning or good evening, depending on what time zone you're listening to this from. We are 16 hours apart, but we've come together today to talk about some anime. It is the fall 2020 mid-season check-in post podcast thing, and I'm Whooper.
And I'm Mario.
There are 5 shows that we're going to talk about today, and they are Jujutsu Kaisen, Maou-jou de Oyasumi, Kamisama ni Natta Hi, Akudama Drive, and Taisou Zamurai. After we get through all of that, we're going to talk about Volume 2 of Sunny. That's what's going on today. Where are we starting?
All right. Just before we starting on the 5 shows that you just mentioned, I just want to ask you about your general opinion of the season so far. Did you watch any other shows? How do you feel about the season in general? Like it or not?
I guess that's a good question. I don't, off the top of my head, the only one I know I'm watching that's not one of these 5 is Dragon Quest, Dino Daiboken, which is all right. Let me see. I'm scrolling through my list. What else am I watching?
It's gonna be a long.
I guess that's it.
Things,
it's just these 5 and then Dragon Quest.
Yeah. It's gonna be a long running series, I think.
Oh yeah. I don't know how long I'll stick with it. I think it's all right. I mean, I mostly appreciate it because it looks cool, and it has some historical importance, I guess. I do have a feeling that after I get through these first 12 episodes, I'll just go back and rewatch the original from like 1989.
Right.
Because I am getting less and less tolerant of modern anime backgrounds. Like, they just seem to be made on computers. Animation, like modern animation at least, you can say is drawn by hand because it's either drawn on paper and then scanned into the computer digitally, or it's drawn on a tablet, which is still hand drawn. But I feel like a lot of background art is made by clicking and dragging art into place in the background. Like, I just can't really. I'm finding myself like getting grumpier and grumpier about that.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean.
How about you? What are you watching aside from these 5 shows?
All right, I still need to catch up with a lot of the others, especially Adachito Shimamura and Talentless Nana. But I'm also watching Macho no Tabi Tabi and Golden Kamuy. Beside all the 5 shows that we about to discuss. I must say though, like this season had been a surprise for me in a sense that I enjoy 2 action shows more than more than any others.
What are those?
That we're gonna discuss about. So we will wait for.
I mean, I'm guessing it's Jujutsu Kaisen and Golden Kamuy.
It's Jujutsu Kaisen and Akudama Drive. And even I enjoy Golden Kamuy quite a lot this season as
Dude,
well.
Akudama Drive 6? I just finished watching Akudama Drive episode 6. And it was crazy.
Alright, in what sense? We can talk about that now, actually.
Do you want to just jump in with that show?
Yep, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, so this was our favorite show, both of our favorite shows
of the season?
When we did the impressions, like the fall 2020 impressions, after we reviewed all the first episodes.
Yep.
And I don't know, I started getting less and less into it as the series went on because it's just how batshit insane it is and how nice it looks in the process that really drew me to it in the first place. So as the series went on a little bit and we got some episodes that weren't as polished, I was like, I don't know if I still like this show or not. But then episode 6 just happened. It was the in-betweening work was insane.
Yep. All right.
Did you note like there were a bunch of shots of characters turning their heads backwards to like look over their shoulders, and they all looked like movie quality. It was crazy.
Yep. I must say like that. I must say that on this, like almost on the fight in Akudama Drive, have been really impressive for me so far. Like for
I
sure
mean,
it.
I would agree in particular episodes.
Yeah, well, I would say that episode one, episode two are really really good, and the last episode that you just
Yeah.
say are insane as well. Even like in episode five, I think when they have like on the battle involving Cutthroat, and they show like how quick he is. Like it really good. Like I'm always feel impressed when I see on the fight, which is a good thing.
There wasn't a battle in episode 5, was there? That was the one where they just stood around talking in that
All
abandoned
right,
building in the rain,
all right.
like coming up with their game plan for what they were going to do going
All
forward.
right, so that must be episode four then. The one where the uh
On the train?
yeah, on the train, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's episode 4. I wrote a big long post explaining why I didn't like that episode.
Right.
And I thought it didn't make use of the train as a setting for the fight. Like it's narrow space and its long horizontal nature. Like I felt as though that episode didn't get the most out of
Have
its setting.
Have you watched or have you ever
But
heard
plenty of
of
people disagree with me about that.
Snow Pieces?
No, I don't. Oh, Snowpiercer by Bong Joon-ho, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's based on the
No, I haven't seen it.
it's based on the it's not the manga. It's based on the graphic novel. But it
Why bring that up? Is it set? It's set on a train, right?
yeah, in the setting on the train, and they have like a shot of hierarchy when they go over like in to the front of the train. So that could be an interesting setting if they do it right. That's just what I mean.
Yeah, it could be. I just didn't like what Akudama Drive did with it. I thought there was too much close quarters combat. They didn't use like the extended walkways of the train. There wasn't enough distance put between the characters that could then be closed as they like like weaved close together and then far apart.
Yep.
But plenty of people disagree with me on that. Like opinions online of that episode were pretty positive, I think.
Well, I was really positive.
So yeah,
with that
episode
episodes.
4. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was more that was a more common reaction.
Yeah, well, the only issues that I got with that episode.
But I also don't think like visually I just don't think that one measured up
Right.
to
Just
episode
just
6. If you compare the train episode to episode 6, there's no contest at all. Like episode 6 just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes where like what's the guy's name with the dreadlocks? Brawler? That's his name, right?
Roller, yep.
Where Brawler and the police, the cop,
Yep.
the Kansai executioner,
It's it.
where they're
Yep.
like wailing on each other, it just looks incredible.
Right. Right. I agree with that, yes. The only issue that I got
How
with
did you feel about
right. The only issue that I got
Yeah,
with
go
the
ahead.
train episodes was that like they're supposed to be like a mission of like a few minutes. I think they say like it's like 2 minutes or 4 minutes that I have to like show everything, and they just sit there and try to explain everything. It just like it's just so obvious that they try to like to dump on the information to us in order to sound smart, and it just doesn't really appropriate with the context they're in. But other than
I
that
mean,
though,
I don't know if this show is ever trying to sound smart,
is it?
because
Is
I
not?
feel like the show knows that it's very dumb.
All right.
Yeah, pretty sure. I mean, even take for example what happened in episode 6, where Cutthroat sticks his hand through the kid in his backpack
Yep.
in order to stab the executioner.
Yep.
During the scene where the kid's body is healing automatically because he's some sort of weird cyborg thing that we don't understand yet, the show could have gone on for like a whole minute about the cellular division and regeneration of blah blah blah. Like it could have done that, but instead, the kid just heals and he's like, "Don't worry about it."
Yep.
So I mean, that's an opportunity the show could have taken to sound smart, and it didn't. It was just like, let's move on to the next thing, which I think is what the show does best when it,
Yep.
gives you some awesome shit to look at and then says, let's move on to the next thing. And when it does try to explain itself, I feel like that's the show at its worst.
Yep. Well, what do you think about the backstories of the settings? So there must be like a war between the Kansai and the other place,
Kanto.
and that
Kanto, yeah.
Kanto, yeah, there's a whole thing going on, and they bombing and all this stuff. But it's never like the central of the story so far. How how do you like it?
I mean, it's good. It's good. I like it. I mean, I don't know much about it. I can't really judge it because we don't have the full story. But I appreciate that the show relegates all those little information pockets to the sequences with Usagi-chan and Same-kun,
Yeah.
the rabbit and the shark, in
Yep.
their little cartoon popsicle stick segments. I think those are neat. And then it always cuts away, like it presents that segment to you, then it kind of fades out, so you can see that it was being broadcasted on a TV, and then
Yep.
it pans over to the characters. So it tries to link them without it being too much of a, I don't know, a separate thing. And
Yep.
I think, I don't know, I like that. It's all right.
Yep. I think that's gonna be like the
We don't know really what the actual deal is
yeah,
between
that's right.
these, like what the war looked like. But we do know that Hacker in episode 5, Hacker leaves at the start because he wants to go to Kanto. I think I have that right, not Kansai. Kansai is where we started. He wants to go to Kanto, and so he's willing to risk being put through like the organic matter destroyer that the train is heading towards. You remember this?
Yep, I remember that.
What I want to know is, why is he so driven to go to Kanto? Is it just because he's bored? Because if so, that's not very interesting. I want to know like why he specifically wants to go there. Why he would risk death
I think
to achieve that.
he specifically say that because he bored and he wants something fun. Is that real?
Yeah,
Or,
I just wish there was
we don't
something
know for
more
sure.
to it than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you
I mean,
think the
I hope
story
that
gonna goes from
eventually
there?
we'll join up. Well, yeah. I think that eventually we're going to get Hacker's perspective. I think there's going to be an episode where we see that he is in Kanto and he is alive, and what he discovers there will end up like flipping our interpretation of the series on its head. Because all we know about the Kanto Kansai War is the propaganda of the little rabbit and shark doing the little cartoon so that kids can, feel secure about the world
Yeah.
that they live in. But what Hacker discovers in Kanto, I assume, will like form the basis for the second half of the series, where the Akudama learn that not all is as it seems, and that they need to overthrow the government or whatever.
All right.
It's gonna be something along those
I
lines.
I I I agree with half of your point. I think that there's something going on between the Kanto and Kansai, and that on this guy gonna fight out and like fight the system, so to speak. I think that it had more to do with these the two kids fighting the underground city at the end of episode 6.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's where the rebellion probably is.
Yep. I think so.
Like an underground city. That's a trope as old as movies. That the rebels they can't be above ground because they'll get taken out by the execution police. So
Yep.
got to be underground.
There's one character that I don't feel that contribute much to the story, and this is Hoodlum. I don't think that
I mean, I would say that the main character, Swindler, is
Alright.
even worse in that department. I mean, not Swindler.
Swindler. Well,
Yeah.
I think the show try so hard to make her relevant to the story, which I feel is really forced.
Yeah, it does try hard. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Hoodlum doesn't do much either, but at least he has a personality. And we see in episode 6 that he is probably dead.
Yeah, well,
Did you watch the post-credit scene in episode 6?
I actually didn't. Is it like the Nah, I actually didn't. Is it where he
Dude,
found?
what are you doing?
Hold on. Is that where he found out that Prowler and the master are dead, and he tried to stab the others police.
He picks up the beam sword
Yep.
and he runs towards the girl.
All right.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
before the credits.
All right. Because
Then
I
after the
think what
credits, we learn about the outcome of the fight.
I didn't actually. All right. Because I remember
There's stuff after the credits.
I remember that was the stuff for the for the next like the preview for the next seasons for the next episode. So I just don't want to spoil myself.
You can always tell when there's stuff after the credits. You just look at the time. So, for example, most EDs are a minute and 30 seconds.
All right.
So, when the ED starts, if there's a minute and 30 seconds, that means you just skip it. You can if you want. If there's 2 minutes, that most likely means a minute and 30 of the ED and a 30-second next episode preview, because that's how long most of them are. If there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, like there were this time, that's a minute after the ED. That probably means there's a scene.
all right.
Gotta do some math.
All right. I remember that scene where when the girl wake up with her one of her eyes like damaged. Is that the scene that you talking
Yes,
about?
that's the scene I'm talking about. That's
right.
after the credits.
All right. I watch it. I just don't remember it. Yes, but I watch it. That doesn't mean
My
that,
lecture was for nothing.
that doesn't mean that Hoplum is dead or was killed by her.
Well, she has both beam swords now.
Yeah, well, maybe he just
They're sitting on the
like
thing, the dresser next to the mirror.
yeah, just just lying next to her, in the other bed. Who knows? Or maybe he
What?
maybe he is the police. He is the mold. We all know that there's gonna be a
Right,
mold
yeah,
in
there
the-
was...
Yeah, so
That's right. I guess that's something we should have mentioned. Yeah, there's probably a traitor among them. I forget how that plot point was even introduced. I don't even remember now.
by Shaq and Rabbit. When they introduce about the police.
Yes, that's right. They
Yep.
say that they go undercover. The Kansai execution department have people who specialize in going undercover.
That's right.
So I mean, I think it's probably Swindler. All right. Do we want to move on to a different show? I don't
Yeah.
even know if you can hear me.
Yeah, let's do that. You're just cutting off a bit, but we can move on to the next show.
Yeah.
Let's try.
We just spent about 15 minutes on this one.
Oh, is it? All
We
right.
got to go fast.
All right. Next one. Maybe Taisou Zamurai.
All right. So I did not watch episode 6 of this.
Yep.
So
Which is
episodes 2 to 5.
Yep. Which is a shame because I think episode 6 is like it best out of the last few episodes. I don't even remember too much what going on between episode 3 to 5 because it just like it just become a really typical show, sports show that like doesn't really
I don't know if I
spark any interest to me. All right, you go.
entirely agree with that.
Right.
Episode 4, which is the one about Rachel, Ray, the daughter,
Yep.
and her, her relationship with her deceased mom, and the kids teasing her for having a weird samurai dad, and Leo showing up during Parents' Day
Yep.
with his slicked back hair, standing in the back of the classroom. That was more an episode about Rachel and Leo rather than any gymnastics stuff going on.
All right, and that is
So it seems to me, I mean, the episode, what was it?
Yeah, that is unfortunately my least favorite episodes.
Okay. So are you more into the gymnastics stuff then? Because that was a non-gymnastics episode.
Yeah, that I think they try so hard to like give an episode focus of one of the side characters. Um, the gymnastic stuff is alright. Like it runs really typical right now. I actually would love after the first episode we have discussed that the show could go in every direction. And I actually
Yeah.
hope that something like Leo gonna be like the Taisou Samurai, so he gonna be the samurai. I think that would be much better than this, because as we see right now, it's just like the Aragaki become an underdog again, and he want to rise back into the top. It's kind of remind me of the plot of Yuri on Ice.
Yeah, I mean this show was compared a lot to Yuri on Ice before it started airing.
Yep.
It's it has adult characters and it's about you know it's about gymnastics, which is focuses a lot on form, so it's comparable to figure skating.
Yep.
And you know
And
the
we see,
similarities go on and on.
yeah,
If
we
only I
see
were smart
very
enough to
little
list
of
them.
that actually. We don't see like much of these detail about the the skill and like the focus on the gymnastic. Well,
Well, episode 5 was the one where we got a lot of gymnastics stuff.
yeah.
But interestingly, Jotaro, the main character, did not get any
Yep.
time
Yep.
on screen doing any of his routines. It was all about the other gymnasts who they introduced, all of whom had like zero personality.
Yep.
And what's his face? The rival guy, Tetsuo.
Yep. Yep.
I thought that was weird. I mean, Jotaro ended up in the top 6, which means he's invited to the training camp, and I assume the training camp was like part of the plot of episode 6, which I didn't see. But he's the main character. So it's great that he got into the top 6, but he did it by not fucking up. Everyone else messed up.
Yep.
He didn't, and that's why he succeeded. But we didn't get to see him succeed.
Yep.
We just see everyone else fail.
Yep.
I don't know if I like that.
Right. I think they save time and they save the focus to the other characters because this is like just like the non-important tournaments, and we will see more of Jotaro like in the future. So I'm thinking I'm okay with that because I just don't want to see like the focus on Jotaro routine every single tournaments. So I'm kind of okay with that. And based on what
Okay.
you said before that I don't enjoy the more of the character focused episodes. It just mainly because episode 6 is again focused on the daughter, and I think they did
Right.
a better job than episode 4.
Okay. I figured that it would be focused on the daughter because she has, like, her birthday's coming up,
Right.
and her family always,
Away.
takes a day off and celebrates together, and that's in the middle of the training camp. So I assume it's like a father-daughter sort of episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. I mean, the last father-daughter episode ended up being a daughter-Leo episode. Strangely. Like Jotaro is supposed to be the main character, but he's sidelined
Yeah.
for a lot of this.
Yeah, that's true as well. And when you think of that, like even without the knowledge of the last this episode, the relationship between Jotaro and the daughter had always been, really one sided. Like he actually doesn't really spend that much time to the daughter at all.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, he is a professional athlete, so I assume that means a lot of training.
Yeah. Well.
And I think she understands that. I mean, that's not to say that it's not to say that it's not, hurtful to her, because I'm sure that she would love to spend more time with Dad. But I think this is something that she's probably accustomed to.
Yep. Yep.
And that's made her self-sufficient. In fact, she's among the more, like, she might be the most mature character in the series.
She is for sure. Like if you think
Yeah,
about
she's had to do a lot of taking care of herself. Mom's dead.
Yeah.
Dad is a professional athlete.
Yep. Like especially if you think about the other characters like Tetsuo, does he really have like any uh personality that stand out to you? For me, he doesn't.
Well, he's voiced by Yuki Kaji, who's one of my least favorite voice actors.
Oh.
He shouts as his primary means of emoting. He just shouts.
Right.
So no, he doesn't have much of a personality.
And
And I mean, putting the voice acting aside, it's hard to discern what these characters' personalities are from the visuals sometimes, because the character animation is not great.
yeah, well, I kind of agree to that as well. And even like putting Leo into like the this story here kind of feel weird for me as well. Like we don't know the identity of him, and he just kind of like from another world basically. He kind of
A world where agents from the Matrix are chasing him down.
yeah, that's right. So he's still a question mark, and sometimes he just for me he just doesn't really fit in with the with this universe.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that the show's worried about that either. I mean, obviously, Leo's real identity is
Yep.
still being withheld from us as of episode 5 anyway. I don't know about 6.
Yep.
But the show is not in a hurry to
Yep.
give us that little nugget of information. It'll get there when it gets there, I guess.
That's right.
All right, you want to go on to a different show?
Yep. Let's do that. All right. Let's just move on to the next show, which is Jujutsu Kaisen.
Alrighty.
How you feel about the show so far?
I feel like it's okay.
All right.
I mean, it's certainly
Interesting.
Polished as a production, I guess. Although I don't know if I'm in love with all the production choices, like the curses being rendered in that different style. I think we talked about this after the first episode, but I don't know if I really like that. My favorite part of the show is the OP and ED.
Yeah, true. They operate excellence,
Yes.
but especially the edit.
Yeah, the ED is so funky.
It just something you don't come across very often in anime.
Well, that's actually not true, because the group that does the ED for Jujutsu Kaisen also did the OP for Beastars.
All right. Huh.
So you do come across it in anime. Sorry, my leg just banged the desk, and I just saw my Audacity recording spike. I don't know if you heard that.
Nope.
All right. Yeah,
You're so good.
it's like they're like a jazz funk band, I guess. I think they're called Ali. And yeah, they did the OP for Beastars. I'm sure you can remember that the OP for Beastars goes ba.
Yep.
With the trumpets. There's a similar intro to this one.
All right. Do they have any other work
In anime?
In anime, because throughout they are really attractive. I can listen to them like all
no,
night.
those are the only 2 anime songs, or the only 2 of their songs that have been used in anime.
Right.
So
All right.
I'm sure we'll see more.
Let's get to the actual content though. I think it's kind of surprise for me that I didn't really expect to like this as much, because it's about to be like an action show, and I don't have a good track with the action shows, and the story actually isn't really that like that original, but like the when the fight, all these like production stuff are just so impressive that it just uh like keep me impressed every single episode I watch.
So would you say this is like a Kimetsu no Yaiba situation?
Yeah, 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 kind of. So it actually more engaging for me, this one.
Yeah, I would agree. After 7 episodes, anyway, I really liked Kimetsu no Yaiba. After 3 episodes, I was like, "Damn, this is going to be something
Right.
special." And then they went into the forest and fought that gigantic
Yeah.
demon for like 3 episodes, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is bad." But
Right.
Jujutsu Kaisen is still like it's dedicated to surprising you. I think it's not as it's. I mean, obviously
Yep.
there's Bleach influence here, and there's Blue Exorcist influence here. Um, so the shows that it's pulling from are, or rather, I should say, the manga that it's pulling from are. It's not going to reinvent the wheel, but it does quote unquote kill off its main character in what episode is that? Number 4, number 5,
Mhm.
um, and Gojo being one of the most powerful characters is pretty interesting as well.
Right.
Like he's the most powerful man on earth, and he is introduced at the very start.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I don't really like in terms of plot though. Like whenever you see someone, like as a mentor, he kind of like the most badass characters. You know, it happened like a lot in other work as well. I'm thinking of like Harry Potter and Dumbledore.
It does, I suppose, although Dumbledore is not really Harry's teacher in the same way that Goto is literally a teacher at a jujutsu school.
Right. All right. I mean more as a mentor, and he's certainly a mentor to Yuchi.
Yeah, well, yes, Goto is a mentor to Yuji, but I feel like he's distinct from Dumbledore at least. I mean, he's busting out like
All right.
temporal magic that puts him in an infinity realm and shit like that. You know,
Yep.
Dumbledore, we don't get to see the extent of Dumbledore's abilities until the end of book 5 in Harry Potter where he fights Voldemort in the Ministry of Magic.
Right. Right. Well. All right. Let back to this story.
I always
Yes.
appreciate Harry Potter
I.
references because that's a language I understand.
All right. Who's your favorite characters in Harry Potter? Just curious.
Hermione.
All right. Everyone love her.
Yes, yes, they do, and for good reason. She's the big nerd who uh, gets to be useful, actually useful, instead of just like walking in the main character's shadow and quoting facts to them.
Right. So,
Who's
but
your favorite
I
character in
suppose
Jujutsu
that
Kaisen?
like after this arc, they're going to do the tournaments, and that's I think that's gonna be the point where my interest of it will be losing a bit.
Yeah,
Every
I
time
was
that the
thinking the
action
same
show
thing.
go to the tournament arc, it just it just kind of showing off their their technique and stuff, and it doesn't really add to the story that much.
Well, I think there's a way to do it correctly, and I would say that that's the way that Hunter x Hunter did it in the Hunter exam arc. Like there were constant surprises during all those matchups.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I'm hoping that we'll get more of those surprises here. And I mean, the
Uh,
show does seem like the type that might do that. I mean, we have people dying, sort of. We have characters with really
yep.
weird quirks, like the guy who can only speak in rice ball filling flavors. Am I saying that correctly?
Sushi. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's really he's really weird because apparently he has like a word based fighting style or curse style where he like I assume that the reason he's limited is because he made some sort of deal. Like you gain power by making deals with
Right.
curses or
Yep.
demons or people. So he made a
Yep.
deal
Yep.
that his speech would be restricted so that when he fights, he probably uses like incantations and stuff. He
Right.
might be
Right. Right.
interesting.
Understand. Yeah. What surprised me more is that you mentioned about weird characters and you haven't mentioned about the panda.
Yeah. The
There's just so freaky panda.
I actually really like that they have not explained the panda. I think that's cool. Like if they were to slow down the show for a minute
I
and
think
have
one of the
someone what?
yeah I just think one of their best joke in the whole series is when they introduce panda. You know, like this is panda, and then they just skip to into the next person.
This is panda. He's a panda.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that it hasn't been explained because that would just kill the appeal of his character if we knew what and
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
We can just appreciate that he has a
Yep.
fun, loving personality. What else have we got going on? Oh yeah. I really one thing that I really like about episode 6 is that we see Yuji and Sukuna or Sakuna, I don't know what the
Right.
demon's name is inside of him. Sukuna. We see them talking and Sukuna makes a
Yep.
deal with him that he'll be
Hmm.
able to take over for a full minute whenever there's some sort of special
Yep.
keyword that's said, and then he also says that Yuji's going to
Yep.
forget about this. And then we we see Sukuna
Mhm.
like slice him in half and then we cut back to the present. So the interesting thing to me is that
Right.
we as the audience now know that Sukuna has this ability to take over for 1 minute whenever he likes. But Yuji and the rest of the characters do not know
No.
this.
No. 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 No.
So now we're just on tenterhooks, like waiting to see when that will happen.
Right. But like with the condition because Yuji will say that special keyword in order for this guy to take over, and I think he make the condition that he won't kill any of the main characters in that 1 minute, right?
Yeah, well, he says he won't kill anyone or injure anyone,
Oh,
but
right.
I don't know how the keyword thing is going to come up. Who has to say it?
Yeah, yeah, true. I think it's Juchi to have to say it, you know. But I don't know how he will, you know, like remember this in order to say that. I think it might come to him, you know.
Maybe.
Not sure how that work.
I don't either, but I'm interested
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what's up?
How you feel about the villains? You know, like these the guy who fight Gocho in the
The
last few
volcano guy.
episodes, and yeah, and what they do basically,
We don't know what their deal is.
who they are.
That's what their deal is. We don't know. I mean, I thought the volcano
Right.
guy burning people to death in episode 6 in the restaurant was pretty messed up.
Yep.
I guess that's how
All
shonen
right.
series compete with each other. They just have to create high body counts.
Yeah. That actually is among my least favorite scenes out of the whole, you know, out of the 6 episode that we watch,
You didn't like that
because
scene? I thought it looked
it
great.
just I didn't like that. I didn't like that scene at all because it just show how insane this guy is, and it just, you know, like it just kind of typical. You know, you can do more with the insane stuff than, you know, like just randomly killing people
I mean,
by burning them
he
into
is
ash.
crazy though. He's a curse. He's a demon. He's like a manifestation of dark energy and bad feelings. Killing people isn't over the top for him. It's like what he does and who he is.
It can make sense. I actually like one of the other guy who saved him. Say that they are actually the real human being. I think that statement is really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there, but I guess that's part of the mystery. So you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the guy who
Mm-hmm.
kind of has those tree branches coming out of his eyes.
Yep, yep. Him.
Did you hear what I just said at all?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah, the guy who has the tree branches coming out of his eyes. He's
He
interesting, and he creates that field of flowers
he interesting.
in order to like lessen people's will to fight. I think that's a
That
pretty
that
neat
that
concept for a shonen series. That one of
yeah,
the antagonists would have the
yeah,
ability to make people not want to fight each other. It's kind of cool.
right.
You don't see stuff like that in most shonen manga, as
Yep.
far as I'm aware.
Hmm.
So I
I
mean,
kind
the
of
the
a
the main
bit
appeal of the series for me is that there's stuff that you know there's stuff here that you won't see elsewhere. While at the same time, the overall structure of the series,
mhm.
because there's a school, there's a magic school, and there's demons that they have to beat and stuff. All that is familiar, but there's small aspects of it that are um, unique.
Yeah. Well, for me, it just it will be the production, uh the quality of the animation and stuff that like keep me hooked. And so far, the story have been like provide enough meat for me to to hook and like to enjoy watching it like episode after episode. So I I I I I enjoy it so far. I just don't think that the characters are really that like deep depth or like multi dimensional.
Well, we'll see if your enjoyment can survive the upcoming exchange event, which is the tournament arc.
Yep. That's right. We will see about that. All right. So the fourth show on our list is Kamisama ni Natta Hi, or with English translation is The Day I Became a God.
Right.
The show that is written
Jun Maeda.
by the veteran Jun Maeda. That's right. How do you feel about the show so far?
Well, I was more positive on it after episode 1 than I have been about any previous Jun Maeda work.
Yep.
And now that we've gotten through episode 6, I don't really care anymore.
Yep. I'm curious to know what you what you feel right now. So I'm not surprised at all. But
How about
can you
you?
tell me more about? Yeah. Well, all right. I gonna tell you my thought about it first.
Sure.
I think it's just all over the places. It's just like they max out of the comedy. It's more like uh they just they just go all out with the comedy, and sometimes it just like hit. It's just a hit or miss for me, basically. Like the story is ridiculous enough and make just a tiny bit of sense in order for make it like for the story to work. But other than that, though, I think it's just like too loud, too crazy. Except for episode 5, where they go with Shora backstory, and this is your vintage Chumada material right there.
I thought episode 5 was the worst one. Easily.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That just show
Did you say
how
Sora?
much
I thought her name was Kyoko.
oh shit, yeah, Kyoko. I Shora is the little sisters.
Sister.
Yeah, Kyoko. Yep, Kyoko.
Yeah. Yes, the
Well,
Kyoko episode was insufferable. It made no sense at all. Like she takes the call from Hina, who's pretending to be her mom on a payphone.
yeah,
So,
and she
you
roll with
know,
it.
yes. Well, I mean, she takes the call on a cell phone. So as soon as her mom hangs up, what would be the next step that you would take?
Yeah, you call it back right away.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
no, no,
you
no.
call
It's
back.
not her
Or
cell
at the
phone.
very least,
That's is it Yota's cell phone or is it Kyoko's cell phone?
I can't remember exactly. I think it's not his cell phone. It's a phone that he, buys, I suppose, just for this purpose.
All right.
But the fact remains that she's holding it in her hand after the call ends. So what do? You go to the call history and you see what the number is. And even if it's not your phone and you need to give it back, you would obviously write that number down. And then you would do some research somehow and try to find out what the number is, where the call came from. She doesn't do any of that. Instead, she just runs
Did
home and talks to her dad and then has just an awful hack exchange with her father about, like, she basically spells out her entire emotional arc out loud to her dad, saying, like, oh, I was once full of life as a child, but ever since mom died, I've been so gloomy. But maybe I'll go back to the way I was if I watch this goodbye tape from her. And then, like, this is not character writing. This is the outline for her character just being vomited into, like, the shape of dialogue. It's terrible. And this is how I know, actually, this is something I thought about when I watched this episode. This is how I know that art is subjective, that the interpretation depends on the individual, because there are probably thousands and tens of thousands of people who wept, who cried tears of
Yep.
just of catharsis while watching this episode.
Yep.
And when they were finished, they were like, "Yes, this is the shit that I come to anime for. This is good." But for me, I'm like on the other end of the spectrum. So this is how I know that art is like 80% us, what we bring to the experience as viewers.
Yep. All right. One thing that I know for sure is that that episode 5, gonna be like the testing episode to see like whether or not you are in this series, or you are like this is for me just like a vintage Chunmanda episodes. And I feel the feeling that the show want to express. I know that is manipulated as hell as well. I still like kind of a bit swept over by the feeling. So like the feeling of
Okay.
grief, the feeling of like searching for like the one you lost. Like all these have been emotional relevant to me. So I still feel this episode, but I understand where you're coming from.
Right. Well, I mean, I do think that it's just terribly written, but like I said,
Yep.
what you bring to it is going to inform your reaction to it, I guess. And
Right.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You've lost a parent, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, I think, and that's not to say that there's a one-to-one correlation there. It's not as though if you've lost a mother or a father, then this episode will make you emotional. Obviously, there's way more to it than that. But I do
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that people who have experienced, loss in some way on that scale are gonna feel like this episode does a good job of what it sets out to do. And, cold-hearted bastards like me are just gonna rip it apart. Um, because I mean, honestly,
I
I think it
actually,
deserves to be ripped apart. Like this is some shitty dialogue at the end coming out of Kyoko's
yeah,
mouth. Um,
I do feel your point because I do feel that it's manipulated as hell. Like it just the whole thing is kind of designed for Kyoko to face her past and to overcome that. And she even say that, it's,
Yes,
it's there no
that's the
subtlety at
issue.
all.
That's the issue, is that she's
Uh,
basically saying what the point of the episode is and what her character arc is and what Jun Maeda has in mind when he writes all of this. She just nakedly
yep,
states it aloud.
yep, yep.
But, there's a lot of anime that's written that way, and it's not always a bad thing. I just didn't like it very much here.
Right. How do you feel about Hina now after 6 episodes?
I was a lot more tolerant of Hina's character before she went full jealousy mode during the summer festival episode. I thought her constant jealousy. There
I
must
can
have
see
been
why.
10 scenes where she like looks over sourly at Yota and Kyoko having a good
Yep.
time. Just no
Well, I
subtlety
agree.
whatsoever to that.
Yep.
And why is there a refrigerated truck with the door open that she just wanders into? First of all, it's a refrigerated truck. That's supposed to be closed to
Yep.
maintain the temperature. Why is it open so she could just get inside and then immediately, driver's back from his smoke break?
Well. All right. The thing is that it opened to in order to get some things inside. Like some stuff, some good inside. But in this case, it just like it just it just Hina in there. They didn't actually stuff up anything. So I don't know why it's open in the
Yeah,
first place. You got the point there.
I it's just
And
convenient.
yeah, it's so convenient. But that episode actually, like just remind me of the drill light event. I think that happened like 6 months ago in London, where they found like a truck full of refrigerator truck with like I think like 12 or 20 dead people inside because they just stuck inside the truck and they couldn't get out. I don't know if you heard you heard the news in regard to that.
No, I didn't hear about that. That's horrible.
Yeah, that just sad. They just these people are a bunch of immigrant try to get across to England from I think from Germany. They fly from China. They from Vietnam actually
Ah,
flying to China to these stuff and it's just sad because like the driver didn't know. He said he didn't know that there was like like 20 or 30 people inside his truck until like
hmm.
when he got to the destination and he opened the truck and there you go like the people already dead like freeze to death. So it
Yeah.
actually have like kind
I mean,
of
that's terrible for the
like
people inside. That's terrible for the driver.
yeah, I know. It actually have like serious effect to me while watching this, so I don't find this to be funny. Like he now getting stuck in there.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
um, yeah, I'm a bit glad that the show doesn't really like go too much comedy about it. I agree with you that Hina, when she get to the jealous mode, it's just intolerable.
Yeah. And also all the stuff
All
about
right.
Yota like admiring his little sister in her yukata.
Yeah,
Just
that is so weird.
random
God.
incest bait, you know.
And all these side characters. All right. Just a last question. I don't want to touch on the side characters. Just a last question. How do you think the world will end in 9 days?
I don't even care.
All
I have
right.
no interest in even speculating about it. I'm probably going to end up watching the rest of this just so I can say that I've finished a Jun Maeda anime, but I'm not
All
going to
right.
enjoy
So
it.
so you're gonna watch it to the end
Yep,
still.
out of spite.
All right.
And I
All
never
right.
do this. So this is a first.
All right. So you know about the super genius guy.
Yeah, the hacker guy. What's
with
the
the
deal with him?
yeah. Well, I think he had to do something with the work on the end plot.
Well, yeah, certainly,
Maybe
because he becomes the focus for a whole episode. But why?
yeah. Have no idea. I think he might create something that like really
Hmm.
dangerous and threaten to destroy the world, and that Yota and Hina have to come and save that from happening
Yeah.
or not. Don't even know. Don't even care.
Well, me neither. Uh, but I feel like I care a lot less. But
Right.
I'm going. We're about to go into the second
Good.
half,
Good
so
on
that
you.
means melodrama is about to become the main ingredient of every episode, and my body is ready.
I I do think so. Yes. If you don't like episode 5, I don't think you're gonna be enjoying it.
Well, I did enjoy. I mean, it's not as though I hate all melodrama on principle because I liked Anohana, even though I don't think it
Mhm.
was that. A lot of
That
people have a
good.
very high opinion of it, and I don't. But I did enjoy it. I
Yep.
also liked Orange, which is very dramatic.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And that's not a very popular opinion either. So I mean I can appreciate the big feels that anime goes for sometimes, but I have to care about the people on screen,
Yep.
and that's what's missing for me here. Also the writing,
Yep.
but
Yep. Yep.
we're gonna go for it anyway.
Right. All right. Let's get to the lassos.
Maou-jou de Oyasumi.
Yep.
This is my
It
favorite
just
anime of the fall season.
is it?
Yes.
Oh, right. Surprisingly,
You
hey.
want to talk about comedy done right?
Yeah. Well, it's true. I enjoy like every single episode of this. It is follow the same pattern, like time three every single episodes. But
Yep.
but somehow it work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the reason it works is because even though every episode has the same format with the three quests, um, there's
Yep.
just consistent, I guess, creativity in like the different monsters that
Uh-huh.
she finds and
Yep.
the different techniques that she uses, or like the brain blasts that she has in order to complete her objective. Like the way that the monsters
Yep.
perfectly line up with what it is that she wants to create or invent is
Yep.
so funny to me.
Every,
Like the abominable
every
snowman looking
single
guy.
time.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
great. I think the voice acting contributes a lot. Like the screams of horror um, from these demons and monsters and stuff in the castle. They have the right amount of
Uh,
like playfulness to them. So even
yep.
though the
Yep.
main character, Cialis Hime, the princess, is like, killing people or killing monsters, usually in between each of the segments of the episode, there will be like a little postscript saying that, and in the end, everything returned to normal or something along those lines. So, she's not
Oh,
like
did
a,
I say that?
yeah, that sometimes little messages will pop up saying, and in the end she apologized, or and in the end it grew back, whatever it is that she cuts out of one of the monsters.
Yeah.
So she's not a total bitch, I guess.
Yeah, she doesn't hold any ill will, to her
Exactly,
actions.
yes, you put it much better than I did. Thank you.
Yeah, but at the same time, she doesn't really care about any of these characters. She just does her own things.
Yeah, she doesn't really see other people as individuals, just as potential
Yep,
materials to fulfill her objective.
yep, 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 yep. And
I have
I,
no
I,
idea if you
I,
heard
I
what I just
really,
said, but
yeah, I heard it. I heard it.
okay.
Um, I
Go
like
on.
the X style, but I also like you. I I like the. I think that the comedic timing is just great in this.
Yeah.
They just nail it.
I do appreciate how funny all the reactions are because Japanese comedy is very reaction based. You know, like what are the two roles in Japanese comedy? It's like boke and tsukomu or something like that. One person's the funny man, and one person is the reaction man.
All
Um,
right.
and I don't. A lot of that doesn't connect with me because I'm more. I've got a more Western comedic sensibility, I guess, which is more about the punchline than the reaction. But I will
Yep.
say that all of the people who are reacting to her craziness, the fact that they are so like colorfully designed and so full of personality, all these monsters, um, that makes it more interesting to me. When she needs somebody to react to all of her craziness, you've got a whole cast of people who can do that. So I appreciate
Yep.
that.
I actually enjoyed the one of the girl in the diamond class. With the trees. I don't remember
Who's
her
this?
name.
Oh yes,
Is
yeah.
it?
It was the thing that was neat about that segment was that she kept trying to defend the princess, even as her older brother was like
That's right.
getting brutalized.
Yeah, true. Oh my, and then finally she just shut her eye, like looking the other way.
Right. That was fun. I do like those scenes where they cut to the that council of the Demon King's like advisors and stuff. They've been doing that more in recent
Right.
episodes, and that's really
Yep.
entertaining because it does spice up the show a little bit.
Yep. And to think that like the Demon Lord and everyone of his team actually wanted uh the hero to come
Yeah.
to support him in a way. It just
Yeah.
and the hero just failed to do that every single time because
Yeah.
just because.
Very amusing concept.
Yep,
I
I
feel like
like
we've
it.
seen stuff like this before with villains who are
Yep,
not particularly villainous, who just want to play out their role as the villain rather than
yep,
holding ill will, like you said before. That's just like Cialis Hime doesn't have any ill will towards the monsters that she cuts up for materials.
yep,
The villains, the Demon King and all of his cronies, they also hold no ill will towards anyone. They're just like babysitters.
yep. That's true. Yeah,
Uh,
that's kind of remind me of Endro, like
Go ahead.
2019 seasons. Kind of have like the similar concept like this, like which the devil being like really nice and stuff.
That's an interesting comparison. I hadn't thought about that. I only watched 3 episodes of Endro. They do seem like they have a similar vibe to, or not vibe, but like different, this the same feeling to them. Even some of the same designs.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. I
I
I
wonder
I
were
I
they
think
both animated by Doga Kobo because I know this one is.
let's just say intro because I enjoyed that show a lot, and I think like the comedy in that show is actually pretty good. Nah,
No, they're
Studio
not.
Gokumi. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
And for Andro, my take on it was that the cutesiness and the fan service got a little overwhelming for me, so I dipped out pretty early.
Right. All
Um,
right.
but yeah, I do agree with you that there are some serious similarities here. I wouldn't be surprised if I looked into it to find that there was like some staff overlap, or perhaps that the source materials for both shows were originally in the same publication, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, apparently, Enro is the original show.
Really?
So
Okay.
maybe from the same writer. We're not
Could
really
be.
sure.
Yeah, or that's it, that could just be a trend in fantasy publishing right now because all those Japanese sites where you can like publish your own works are huge. They're like the breeding ground for the entire light novel boom that's happening. Web novels too.
Yep.
So that could just be a trend, you know. but it's not a bad
Right.
one. I like it, and I like Maou-jou
Yeah.
de Oyasumi.
Yeah. I have a fun feeling with Andro, and this one I enjoyed it quite a lot as well.
Nice.
But it kind of surprised me that you put it as your favorite show of the season so far. Good stuff.
Well, I don't know what else I would put.
Kamisama, why not?
I'll tell you why not. Do I need to go back over it?
Or Taisou Zamurai. Maybe like episode 6 gonna change your mind.
Could be. I mean, the thing that I like most about I mean, this is not the thing I like most about it. The thing that I like most about it is
Yep.
the comedy. You know,
Yep.
I think it's funny. But what I appreciate about
Mm,
the show is that it is consistent. It doesn't take off weeks. Like Akudama Drive has some episodes where I'm just like,
right.
I don't care, snore. Where's the action? You know, Jujutsu Kaisen has some
Mm,
episodes where I'm like, this nothing
yep.
new is being presented here. This is just too shonen for me. Snore. I don't care. Maou-jou de
Yep.
Oyasumi is to me
Yep.
it's
Yep.
funny every
Yep.
time. So I guess that's why it's my favorite.
Agree. Yep. All right. Let's get into Sunny, the second volume.
Yes, let's do it.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah, super great.
I did not like
Like,
it as much as the first one, I don't think.
yeah, well, I kind of agree because it's like an extension of the first one. And in that degree, like, I think like every volume gonna be like this. So, but we have like a longer story this time. I mean, uh, like chapter 11 and 12, for example, is the same story uh from Haruo,
Haruo.
for example. Yep.
Yeah. That it is, yeah. I liked that. His mom is really, you know,
Wow.
ver- a cold figure.
Yep.
She
It actually, yeah. Well, like the way he behaved when he's with her, like he slats out, and he kind of regret that like immediately, and then he
yeah.
said like like it keep happening again. Like I'm trying my best, not not this time, but like I did it. It just so, uh, it's not relatable, but I can feel that. I can feel the way that all of it emotional bottled up inside him, and he want to just let it out. And to see that the mother is just just calmly like reading the newspaper and tell him to stop.
I don't know if calm is the word I would use. I would say detached because she says to him, "I
Yep.
won't be yelled at." Like she's removing herself from what's happening between her son and her
Yep.
in this public space.
Yep.
She's just like she's kind of like disowning him temporarily. She
Mm.
puts up the newspaper as like a physical barrier and says, you
Right.
know, this I'm not a part of this. I won't be yelled at. That's really awful, actually.
Yep.
I mean,
And that.
it's of course it's you don't want her to be shouting at him either. You don't want them to get into a big shouting match, but the route that she takes isn't right. That's how's he going to feel if he's very emotionally invested in this situation and she demonstrates to him that she is not.
Yep. Well, and even later that she asked him to say her by the name, not by mom.
Right. That scene was really interesting to me
I
because it didn't use speech bubbles. So I wasn't sure
Right.
if it had taken place in the past and he was remembering it, or if the reason that it didn't use speech bubbles was kind of to make it hazy. Like he couldn't quite wrap his mind around what she was asking him to do. And it was happening in the present, but
Yep.
he it was like so foreign to him that he couldn't really understand it. So I liked that it
Yep.
was kind of ambiguous that way.
Right. And I think the moment that got me the most is when he go back to his new to her new apartment, and he see the old stuff, and he just like kind of recognize them, like the clock, the book, and he even recognize like the sound, like when he used to stay with her, and then he just think to himself that you are so lucky, you still like staying with her all the time. I'm the one who being discharged, throw
Mm.
away.
Yeah. My translation
That was
said
really
dumped.
sad. Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly the word they say in my translation, but it's a lot alike.
Does the one you're reading is the font kind of sketchy or is it very standard and blocky?
All right, let's just see because I download the whole manga of Sunny, and then I read it. So not online. Um, it's from Danke Empire.
Is from what?
I think the translator is Danke Empire. That's the
Did you just say
name.
the name of the
And
translator?
yeah.
Okay. Like the person or the company?
I have no idea. I think it's like fan sub, fan translated. I'm not really sure.
Okay, gotcha. All right, the reason that I bring this up is because I found the official scans, the official translation,
Right.
um, and
Yep.
I checked the credits at the end, and it's translated by Michael Arias, who was the director of Tekkon Concrete.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is also a Taiyo Matsumoto manga. So he's translating Sunny. He directed a film adaptation of another Matsumoto work. So this guy's got to be a super fan. You remember that Tech on
All
Concrete
right.
has an English director, right? Or an American director. Hello.
Yeah. You're just cutting off, so I can really hear all
Okay.
the things that you say.
Do you remember that Tech on Concrete has an English director?
Translation. Yeah.
Did you remember that Tech on Concrete has an English director?
All right. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's the same guy. He's the one who translated this manga, Michael Arias.
Oh, all right. All right. Yep. Because the version I got here, they say that as well. Translation by Michael
Oh,
Arias.
okay, yeah.
All right. So we got the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you about the font, if it was of the text, if
Right.
it was like sketchy or if it
Uh-huh.
was standard and blocky. And there's a lot. So in your translation, I assume if it's the same one, are there a lot of translators' notes about like songs and TV
Uh,
programs and stuff?
that's right. That's the one.
Yeah. It was through reading those that I understood that this manga is set in the mid 70s.
Yeah, that's right. I think they mentioned something about the reference that's come from the 60s, 70s, like all the song that they sing.
So when you mentioned that Taiyo Matsumoto was basing this in part off his experiences at a child's home in his past, I guess
Yep.
it's more based on that than we knew, because he's even
Hmm.
said it during the same time period when he was likely at a similar home.
Yep.
So
That's
it's a
true.
period piece even.
Yep. Hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and we get to see like some of these more characters, like the first one is from the
Kiko.
girl from the yeah. I like this one as well. It just kind of different from uh it just like it they act just like kids, they could lies, they could like do, make story up in order to like to be at the center of the attention.
Right.
So I kind of related to these stories, and yeah, like I really enjoy all these little story here.
Yeah, I think the manga's good at integrating a lot of characters and telling stories about each of them. The
Hmm.
Haruo one was a real break from tradition because it focused just on one person for two whole chapters. But we do have more
Right.
stories like the one about Kiko and the one where a new boy moves in named Toru, and
I like
Sei
that
becomes his
story as well.
Sei becomes his buddy. And
Mm.
Sei is one of the kids who has not resigned himself to being part of the Hoshinoko family, I guess. He thinks to
Yep.
himself he's not giving up on his mom. She's going to come back for him. And he partners up with Toru, but Toru's mom comes back. And so
Yeah.
Sei is left alone again, I suppose. And his reaction to that is really interesting. Like the dream that he has where he's going up the stairs, but
Yep.
eventually he just stops and sits down and waits
Midweight.
to be woken up. Like that's the sort of thing that someone would say who has given up. So perhaps subconsciously he
Yeah.
recognizes his mom is not coming back because he in his dreams he's sitting
Y-
down and waiting to be woken up, brought back to a place where he
Yep.
doesn't want to be.
Yep. It just like literally like the real life catch up to him, even in his dream,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of sad. Like it might be the only place, like maybe except from inside the Sunny that he can dream away. He can have fantasy. And even in his dream, he also realized that there isn't a home for him to come back to.
Yeah. He's he's recognizing well more than there's a home for him to come back to. I think what the dream symbolizes is that he's not going back to his real home because
Yep.
the
Hmm.
stairs lead to his apartment that he shared with his mom once upon a time. But
Yep.
in his dream he has the opportunity to go back to that place, and he's stopped doing it. He just sits on the stairs and waits
Hmm.
to come back to reality. The focus on that staircase or those stairs, those steps, really
Yep.
reminded me of ping pong because in ping
Uh-huh.
pong, stairs like that are a huge motif. That's where Peko trains by going up the stairs, Rocky style. And there are a lot
Yep. Yep. Yep.
of shots of stairs like that as part of the backgrounds leading down to the beach where some of the characters have conversations and epiphanies, like by the shore.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably an
Yep.
obsession of Matsumoto's, like the like stairs
Mm.
being kind of portals between one frame of mind or one state of being and another.
Mm.
And I really
Yep.
like their use in that chapter 8.
Yep. That's a good point that you pick up there.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to do a study of all Matsumoto's work. I'm pretty sure that by the time I finish this will be my favorite manga. Not that I've read very many,
Right.
but it's very
I
very heavy on the use of symbols.
Yeah, I just have a quick look of like how many works that he have, and he have a lot.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll go through them all someday.
Yeah, well, my one of my friend had recommend me Sunny and Takemitsu Zamurai, which she said that the act was insanely good as well,
Your friend, dude,
and I have like
who is this girl? Can I get her number? She has good taste.
yeah, I know, right? And she actually recommended me to buy a manga from him as well, Cast of the Louvre. She said she read it as well and she loved it. So we could try that one time. I had this manga like physical copy of the manga here at my home.
Hmm. Yeah, I
With
mean,
how
is that also by Matsumoto or is that someone else?
yeah, that's right, Cast of the
Okay.
Louvre, and without even like even opening uh the the boxing yet. So I haven't even touched it yet.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think whatever manga we do next, or even a classic anime series, we haven't done a classic anime in a long time. Whatever we do next probably shouldn't be Matsumoto because we don't want to just see the same person over and over. I don't think. That's just
Yeah,
my
yeah,
opinion, though.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. We
Um,
gonna
s-
discover like many others classic stuff, but I will definitely check out more of his stuff.
oh yeah, same. So
Mhm.
we already talked about Kiko a little bit. That was chapter 7. We already talked about the Sei chapter. That's chapter 8. Chapter 9
Yep,
is Parents' Day. How did you like that one?
yep. I like that as well. I like the way that the adult trying to trying their best to come into every single class of the kids, and and I like the
Yeah,
way that
especially Mr. Adachi.
yeah, right, right. And I like how Haruo he just like he just doesn't really appreciate that. So like they successfully tell multi layers of the story, like from multiple sides. I really like that.
Yeah, it's true. They do, even though the parents involve themselves in the kids' school life, the
Mhm.
the feelings of the kids are kept front and center, I think.
Yep.
And it's not until you get the dual car rides home that
Yep.
Mr. Adachi, his feelings are kind of
Yeah.
brought in parallel with the kids, I guess. They're given equal importance. And I really
Yep.
loved. I cried when I read
Oh.
the what he says to Haruo, um,
Yep.
because he gets to talking about his own past. Like he takes the kids the scenic
Yep.
route on the way home, so that they can
Mhm.
see the sunset, the same sunset that he saw with his father on the way home from judo practice. That's
Yep.
what he tells
Uh,
them. And so he's talking with the kids, and they're all listening and asking him questions. And Haruo is pouting at this point because he's Makio made him promise that he would say thank you, and he
yep.
he doesn't say thank you, but he does express an interest in Adachi, and he says, "Why do you work at Hoshinoko, at the children's home?"
Yep.
And when Adachi said, I did it so I could meet you," I just started crying.
Yep.
uh, because that's such a kind thing to say. Like I wish I could
Well.
be that caring and that patient, because I work with kids for a living. Um, so
Yep.
I really like that. I thought that was
It.
amazing. Like I couldn't have predicted that would be what he would say.
Mhm. Yep. It kind of creepy the way he say, but
It kind of what?
in that creepy the way he say it.
Oh, you found that
I work
creepy.
here.
I thought it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
No, 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 no. I actually think that is beautiful. The way he say that, the way he can, he the way that like his perspective is like that.
Yeah. Well, even yes, I agree, but even more than it being his perspective, I think he recognizes that these kids need to hear that because they're at
That's
this home
true.
because mom or dad are gone or don't have time for
Yep.
them or are unable to care for them, and they need a
Yep. Yep.
dad.
It's true.
Um,
Mhm.
and that's what he is. That's his role.
Yep. Yep. That's true. Well. All right.
So I like
Um.
that a lot. And I did like that prior to
Yeah.
that, the kids we saw a lot of what the kids get up to at school. Instead of it being like the conversation between the parents at the back of the room, um, we
Uh-huh.
saw Sei raise his hand to read the kanji on the board, and we saw Junsuke, the kid with the afro, struggling to read aloud
Mm.
from an English
Yep.
textbook and stuff like that. I thought that was fun.
Right. 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 The next chapters, the only chapter left that we're going to discuss is about Kenji, and for me,
Yeah.
it's my least favorite chapter just because the all the other characters are more emotional to me, more personal to me than this one.
Well,
But
he is
it
the
doesn't.
oldest.
Yep, it doesn't mean that it's
Yep.
not a good chapter at all. It is a really good chapter.
I think the issue that I had with this one is that it's not clear what his level of determination is regarding his plan to run away. You know, it
Right.
opens with him asking his dad where his mom lives, and then we
Uh-huh.
do get a panel of him at a ticket booth, I think, like planning to buy a ticket
Uh-huh.
to get on a train and go live with his mom. But
Yep.
he's sidetracked because the girl, Haruna, yells out from the pachinko parlor and distracts him.
Hmm.
But it wasn't clear to me, or at least I didn't understand, whether he was like on his way at that point to the train station or whether he had already given up on the idea at that point. Do you happen to
I
know? Do you
think.
have a read on
All
it?
right. I think it's like in the middle. I think it's more like he have a
In the
second
middle?
thought
Like
about
he
going
was considering it?
to his mom, but he still haven't this.
Okay.
Yeah, he was confusing. He was confused. So he was like yeah he hasn't given up about going to his mom, but he also afraid to go there because he like he said, like the mom have abandoned him, so why would she be happy to see him now? And then he just kind of he doesn't want to go back home because he already like make his mind to leave the home. So I think he just kind of in between. He just like wandering around to see what to figure out what he doing next. And
Right.
then he find his friend, the girl.
Okay, then that's the issue that I have is that we
Right.
like he's distracted and taken off course by her because she recognizes him. They strike up a conversation, and then he wants to go to this bar
Yep.
that she's going to with the two older guys.
Yep.
So if at that point he was kind of wandering aimlessly, not sure whether he was getting on the train or
Yep.
not, we should have gotten more from his perspective
Right.
before she sees him and calls out to him. We should have seen more of him walking around the city
Y-
to give more of a sense of his uncertainty.
Yep.
And I don't think we were given that, at least
Yep.
not that I remember. So I think like
Nope.
the limited
Yep.
time, I guess, or the limited number of pages that Matsumoto had here made it difficult for him to transmit Kenji's perspective.
Mhm.
By the end, though, we know that he's thinking about going to high school, even though he
Yep.
was dead set against it before.
Mhm.
So I guess we'll see if he follows through on that. I mean, you can tell based on the way the chapter ends that he's not thrilled at the idea. He and Haruo are sitting in the sunny at the end after Kenji has been yelled at by
Mhm.
Adachi. He's come home and he's been
Yep.
yelled at.
Mhm.
And Haruo tells him, you should just do whatever you want to do. But Kenji, being at a later point in his life, is not sure what that is. Kids know what they want to do. Like they want to exercise their pleasure receptors.
Do what?
Like they want to eat candy and they want to play and they want to, I don't see their friends. And that kids know. If you ask a kid what they want to do, they'll tell you. If you ask a teenager like Kenji what they want to do, oftentimes they don't know because the world is opening up to them and it's kind of
Right.
overwhelming.
Mhm.
So perhaps it's difficult to transmit that point of view for him
Yeah.
because that's just where he is in his life.
Yep. He's kind of look old, but it just compared to the other kids because I think he's just like grade 8, but is like 14, 15 years old.
They actually say in this chapter that he's 16, which
All
means,
right.
I think, it means that he is in ninth grade because in Japan, middle school goes up to ninth grade. and he's probably been held back 1 year.
Oh,
So that would
right,
make him
right.
16. That's my best guess.
Yep. Yep. I agree with your take on his. Um, yeah, but overall, I just feel that the volume two is still really good. Like all these story are really uh personal and powerful. But yeah, it's just compared to the first volume, I think it's still fresh. So the first volume is still I prefer the first volume more than the second one.
I mean, yeah, I do too, and I think the reason is that the first volume was so good at introducing the characters. Like that's in a work of narrative fiction, the characters are going to be what, they're the vehicle. That's how the story is told. It's through them.
Yep.
And so introducing them is a huge
Mhm.
undertaking. Like you have to make sure you do it right. And I mean, I can't think of the last thing that I read or watched that introduced its characters as well as Sunny did. So that's why I like the
Yep.
first one better because
Yep.
like the cast is pretty big,
Right.
man, and they're
Uh-huh.
all fun. They're all fun to follow. They're all great characters. They all have their own concerns, their own
Yep.
stories.
Yep. Even with like the big kid, I forgot his name,
Taro.
Taro. Still, like he doesn't talk much. Still have, like a lot of personality for
I'm
me.
interested in Taro because at one
Stand
point,
out.
during the restaurant scene in chapter 11, maybe, where Haruo is talking to his mom about Hoshinoko, the home, he talks about Taro and he says that Taro has a disease which makes him unable to stop eating. And I wonder if that's just Haruo being a kid and trying to dream up an explanation for Taro's like huge body size, or if that's
Yep.
real. Like perhaps Taro really does have some sort of disease and he really
Yeah.
can't stop eating. Like I wonder about him.
Well, I think it's just a perspective from Haruo.
I see you sent me a message there. I see it.
It's not. Yeah. It's not really what. Yeah. Well, I kind of interested to see like yeah, about Taro, more about Taro as well.
We've also gotten some close-ups of Taro's face in this volume, and you can see that he has some facial hair. So even though he's mostly nonverbal, he's
All right.
he's mostly singing that song to himself, and he can't really talk. We do see he's pubescent, so he's probably a teenager like Kenji, I would guess,
Mm-hmm.
because he
Mm-hmm.
has like a little mustache and a little wispy, little bit of wispy hair on the sides of his face.
Right.
And I mean, there
Hmm.
are children who start to grow facial hair when they're like 11 and 12 and stuff. That does happen, but probably not for Japanese people.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So he's probably a teenager. I mean, just straight up, like the Japanese people are not growing facial hair at that age ever.
All right.
It's just like a
Yep.
genetic thing.
Kind of
So
interesting.
yeah, he's probably a
Yep.
teenager, but he's you referred to him as a big kid, and that's another way of thinking about him for sure because he is a big kid, you know.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. He
He's a big
is.
kid who steps in the fish pond. Did you notice that there was a fish pond in this chapter?
No, is it?
There are some panels where you see him outside and he's like
Oh
swishing
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah,
legs
yeah,
around in
yeah.
the
That's
water in
right.
the pond that's right, yeah,
There,
right
there are
outside
fishes as
Oshinoko.
well. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I
you
remember
hear
that
one of
now.
the girls say, "Miss Mitsuko, Taro's in the pond again." Or you see her say that. You can't hear anything. It's a manga. I'm so convinced of about this story, like I'm so involved in it that I'm hearing I'm hearing what the characters are
Yep.
saying, even though
Yep.
there's no
Yep. Yep.
sound.
All right. So let's wrap up. So this week, Yeah, we finished the volume 2. So next week we're gonna do the volume 3 of Sunny, and we are gonna do this kind of special episodes of a specific sport of anime, which is football or soccer. So we're
Yes.
gonna take out like 5 shows and watching the first 2 episodes, and we'll tell you how we think about these 5 soccer's anime shows.
Do you really still want to do 5 shows? That seems like a lot.
I'm fine with that personally. I
All
will
right.
watch like a show 2 episodes a day to finish it.
Yeah, you can just watch 2 a day. We'll easily
Yep.
cover it. And I can't remember what they are. It's Captain Tsubasa, Ginga a Kickoff.
Oh, yep.
Um, those were my
Giant
2 picks. I don't
Killing.
remember the rest. Yeah, Giant Killing.
Uh,
The '90s one.
and my two pick. Yep. Shoot. I think that's the name.
Oh yeah, Aoki Densetsu Shoot.
And the other one would be oh shit.
I can't remember the other one you picked. It was Whistle, right?
Whistle. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like there's one that we overlooked that was really obvious. Oh yeah, like
Izunama 11.
Inazuma 11 and maybe another one too, but oh well. We got 5.
Yep. We got
I
5.
mean, I'm more looking forward to volume 3 of Sunny personally, but at least this way
Nah.
I can explain my love for Ginga a Kickoff. This is my excuse.
Yep. Right. And we have a chance to rewatch Giant Killing again.
Right.
We have more room for that.
Yeah. I always have time for Giant Killing. Unless I rewatch it and find out that it sucks. But that's probably not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen. I think. Or we can still, like have a chance to read the manga.
That would actually be interesting because I assume that the manga goes well beyond where the anime stopped.
Yeah. I would assume so.
Damn, that might be a cool project to do someday.
Yep. All right. We're gonna decide that like after the next episodes, which is next week.
See you then.
All right. Bye bye.